All right. Good morning. Whew. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to get started. Let's go into child's pose. Okay. So toes are going to be together. Knees are going to come out a little bit wider. Reach those arms forward. So actually, I'll give you a couple of options what you can do with the hands depending on how you're feeling. So again, bring those knees out a little bit wider. You just soften that chest between those legs. Really reach through the fingers and then rest that head down onto the mat. So that's kind of the first option. You might be feeling a big stretch to the upper back here, maybe through those hips and inner thighs. Now, if you want an even bigger stretch, kind of in between those shoulder blades and in those, kind of in those lats, so kind of right underneath the armpits, you can flip those palms to point up. Okay, and if you want to take it a step further, you can bring the backs to the hands, and you can bring the hands to in between the shoulder blades, kind of the back of the neck. Again, just really walk those elbows forward a little bit more. And then press the hips back, soften that chest down to the mat. So a couple of options. Ooh, excuse me. Got a few more breaths. Big breath in through the nose and out through the nose. On that exhale, try and pull that chest down towards the mat a little bit more. Really big stretch to that upper back. Now let's go ahead and release those arms if they're not already. So just straighten them out. Okay, walk those hands over to that right side, walking those arms off of the mat so we can get that really big stretch through that left side body. So big reach out through that left arm, pressing the left hip back to that left heel. And then focus that breath into that left rib cage, that left lung. But a little bit more stretch through that side. And then we'll bring it to center. We'll go over to the other side. Walking those hands off of the mat, reaching through that right arm, pressing that right hip back to that heel. And then walk those hands back to center. Going to come up onto those hands and knees. Take that tabletop position. So hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. On that inhale, let's drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. Exhale, let's round the spine. Press the shoulder blades away. Draw that belly up and in. Good. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone, look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. Last one. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Bring it into that neutral spine. You can keep those hips high, so right above the knees, sliding those hands forward, grip those fingertips into the mat, and then lower that forehead down towards the mat. Now from here, if we want an even bigger stretch through the shoulders, come up onto those fingertips, really grip the fingertips hard into the mat, and then again, try softening that forehead, and then maybe even that chest down towards the mat. Again, if the fingertips might be a little bit too aggressive, especially just to start out. So you want to lower those hands down, that's fine too. Now we're going to move through the cat-cows here. So we're going to round that spine, draw that belly in, tucking the chin. And then we'll bring that chest forward and down. So maybe even lowering that chin to the mat. Exhale, round. Then inhale, bring that chin or chest forward and up. Last one, round. And lower down, lengthening through that spine. Let's slide it forward onto those forearms, stepping it back to that plank. Core is nice and tight. Let's breathe here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower those hips down. Bring those hands right underneath those shoulders. So we're pointing the toes. Shoulders roll down and back, lifting that chest up just into that cobra. So the lowest part of the rib cage stays down. Soften it down. Press, lift a little higher. And down. And press, lift. And down. Curl those toes under. So pressing into the toes, lifting those knees off the mat, lifting through the chest so the shoulders are in line with those elbows. And then we're going to press. Try and lift everything up at the same time. Try not to worm. Plank. And then hips up. Downward facing dog. Again, taking a breath or two here, pedaling out those feet, swaying those hips. See that big stretch through the calves, through the hamstrings, through those ankles. And now inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees, look forward, stepping those feet to the hands, sliding the hands up the shins, half lift. And then slide those hands back down towards the ground as we find that forward fold. If you want to add a little sway from side to side, you can. And then bend into those knees, flatten out that back. Let's rise up to standing, reach it up nice and tall, sliding that right hand down that right leg. Left arm reaches up and over, big side stretch. Inhale, bring it back up and to the other side. Right arm reaches up and over. Inhale, reach it up, draw the elbows down, interlace those fingers, open up that chest. And release those arms up. Exhale, nice flat back as we fold, reaching for those toes. Half lift on that inhale. Exhale, we'll plant those hands down, stepping those feet back to our plank. Go ahead and lower it down to our stomachs, point the toes, lifting the chest up. So maybe we stay in this cobra, or maybe we press it up into that upward facing dog. Exhaling those hips up and back into that down dog. 3 breaths here. Any movement you need, or maybe stillness is what you need. And now big breath in, come high onto the toes, bend those knees, step those feet top of the mat. Half lift on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend into those knees, rise up to standing, reach up tall, side stretch over to the right. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale to the left. Inhale, reach it back up. Elbows pull down, interlace the fingers, open up through that chest. And bend into the knees, flatten out that back as we find that forward fold. Lengthen a little more. And release those hands, plant them. Step it on back to a plank. Lower. Inhale, lift it up. So again, up dog in this position is too much. Just go ahead and lower that rib cage back down to the mat. And then exhaling hips up and back, down dog. Good, now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step those feet top of the mat. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, side stretch to the right. Inhale it back up to the left. Inhale it back up. Elbows will draw down. Interlace the fingers. Open up that chest. Slight bend into those knees, flat back as we fold. Lengthen a little more. And release those hands down. Let's step it on back to our plank. Lower. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips up and back, down dog. And now bring those feet together. Inhale, that right leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl that knee and step that foot through. Back knee lowers down. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead, pulling that rib cage down as we press those hips forward. Now from here, draw those elbows down, feel rolling out those arms, open up through that chest. And inhale, reach it up. And exhale, pull those elbows down. Interlace those fingers behind the back and open up through that chest. Keep that core really tight. And then we'll press those hips forward a little bit more. So big opening through that front side of the body. And then we'll release those hands down, straighten that front leg as we fold, half splits. And then we bend into that knee, plant that left hand twisting. Right arm is gonna reach up. So you can stay here, especially if those quads are feeling a little bit tighter this morning, or you can start to bend into that back knee, reaching for that foot, pulling that heel right towards that glute. Core stays tight. So you want to take that big arch out of the back. And release. Plant the hands down. Step it back to a plank. Lower. Inhale, lift up, dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Then bring those feet together. Inhale, that left leg is going to lift. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl that knee and stepping that foot through. That knee lowers down. Inhale, let's reach those arms up overhead. It's okay. Core is pulling down. Your rib cage is pulling down. Tailbone is pulling down. Press the hips forward as we reach those arms up. Now pull those elbows down. Open up through that chest. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, draw those elbows down. We'll interlace those fingers now. Open up that chest, reaching those knuckles down and back, and then lunge into that front knee a little bit more. Now release those hands down to the mat. Straighten that front leg into those half splits. And then we'll rebend that knee. Plant that right hand. As we twist, the left arm reaches up. And if you want, bend into that back knee. Reach for that foot. Keep opening through that chest. Pressing the hips forward a little bit more. And then we can release that foot, step it back to our plank, and vinyasa. Exhale, hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Now you can bring a little more bend to those knees, walking the hands back to the feet. Find that flat back on that inhale. Now from here, bend into that right knee a little bit more, twisting. Left arm is gonna reach up. Hold, make sure that the hips don't sway off too. Okay. The left side, keep pulling them back towards that midline of the mat. And lower it down. Find that fold. We'll re-lengthen out, so flatten out that back. Bending into left knee this time as we twist. Right arm reaches up. Again, the hips. Notice if the hips have swayed over to that right side. Pull them back to the middle. And lower the hands down. Fold here for another breath. And then we'll walk it forward to our downward facing dog. Bring those feet together. Inhale, that right leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it up. Exhale, curl it back in. Inhale, reach it up. And curl that knee and step that foot through. Back knee lowers. Inhale, reach those arms up. Drawing those elbows down. Inhale it back up. And exhale, pull those elbows down. Interlace those fingers. Open through that chest. And release those hands down to the mat. Straighten the front leg, half splits. And rebend. Plant that left hand, twisting. Right arm reaches up. Pressing those hips forward, bending into that back knee, reaching for that foot. And release that foot. Plant the hands, step it back to our plank. Vinyasa. And exhale, hips up and back, down dog. Again, feet together. Inhale, that left leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, curl it in. Step that foot through. Back knee down. Inhale those arms up. Elbows draw down, and feel goal. Inhale it back up. Exhale it down. Now we'll interlace those fingers. Open up that chest. Press those hips forward. And release the hands down. Half splits. And we'll rebend into that knee. Plant that right hand. Twisting. Left arm reaches up. And then option to reach for that foot. And release. Send it back to our plank. Lower. Inhale, left, lift. And exhale the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Slight bend into those knees. Walking those hands back to the feet. Find that flat back. Bend into that right knee. Left arm reaches up. And fold. Other side, bend into that left knee. Right arm reaches up. And fold. Walk it forward to our downward facing dog. Now from here, we're going to step that right foot outside that right hand. That knee lowers down. If you want to go into a quad stretch again, so here, if that's kind of what you feel like you need, you have that option. Or if you want more of a inner thigh kind of hip opener, just stay here, maybe lower down onto those forearms. And keep that nice flat back. That knee can open up to the side a little bit more. We'll come back onto those hands. Straighten that front leg into that half splits. Now walk those hands back so they're right underneath the shoulders. Lift through that chest, lift through that tailbone, nice flat back. Keep this right hip right where it's at, so we don't want it to sway open. And twist, reaching that right arm up. And lower that hand down, rebend. Go and step it back to our down dog. And we'll come to the other side. So we'll step that left foot outside that left hand. Again, if you want, add in that quad stretch. So twist, reaching for that foot with that left hand. Okay, otherwise, start to lower down onto those forearms. Nice flat back. That knee opens up a little bit wider. And then come back onto those hands. And walk it back, walk the hands back, straightening that front leg. So again, hips are right over that right knee. Fingertips are right underneath the shoulders. Right hand plants, left hip stays down, and then we'll twist. Left arm reaches up. And lower that hand down. Rebend into that knee. Step it back to our down dog. Pause it for a few breaths here. And then lower onto those knees. Let's come into a little bit wider. So maybe even bring the knees off the mat. Child's pose. And then really press the hips back, soften that chest down. So again, you might even be able to lower that chin down to the mat depending on how those shoulders are feeling. Full stretch that upper back. Big stretch those inner thighs. Maybe a stretch to those shoulders. Good, let's go ahead and roll it over onto your backs. And hugging those knees into the chest. Now bring those arms out to the side. You can kind of use the hands to help you with this. We're gonna lift our tailbone up, bring those hips over to that left side of the mat, and then we're gonna drop the knees over to the right side of the mat. So hips to the left, knees to the right. Good, left shoulder stays down. So to get that shoulder down, if that top knee has to lift a little bit, that's okay. Good, a few more breaths. And bring it back to center. Let's go and switch sides. So lift those hips, bring them over to the right side of the mat, and then those knees will drop over to the left side. So we do that so that spine stays in that nice straight line in the middle of the mat. And keep that opposite shoulder, that right shoulder down. And bring it back to center. And when even it out, lower those feet down. So one last hip bridge to finish this off. Press into those feet, rolling the hips up. Good thing, scooping that tailbone up. Core stays tight. Knees and legs are staying parallel to each other, not caving in or bowing out. Gripping those big toes into the mat. Scooping those hips up a little more. Good, and roll it back down. Let's hug those knees in. Let's rock forward and back, coming up into that seat. Let's just close down those eyes for a few breaths. Really big breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And two more times. Big breath in and out. Last one. All right, blinking those eyes open. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. I guess there's boot camp tonight. So hopefully you guys can make that. And then I will see you guys back here tomorrow at Recharge. All right, have a good one.